Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the stream. This is the weekly live chat, the last live chat before Christmas. So I'm wearing my SpongeBob Christmas shirt, feeling festive. Um, Almost to 1,800 subscribers. We are currently at 1,798. Let me see if this works real quick. See if that updates there. Yep. And I am not getting off this stream till we at least hit 1,800 subscribers. No MMA for the next couple weeks. We just had the last fight card, Derrick Lewis versus Chris Daukaus. We can talk about that some. We're going to talk about the most anticipated fights of 2022, at least for the UFC. Khamzat Chimaev versus Belal Muhammad has been a massive topic. Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier has been a massive topic. And there's plenty of other things we can talk about. Dana White confirmed Carla Esparza is getting the next shot against Rose Namajunas. And of course, all your questions. You guys comment in the chat. Any questions you have, we'll get to them at some point. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? What's up, French Fries? What's up, Sean Johnson? Will Kevin Lee be the first 165 champ? Maybe, I guess, in Eagle FC. I mean, I don't know what the competition is going to be like, but probably. Since they're going to do a division there. I mean, that's the only place that has a 165-pound division. What sub count is your goal for next year? I'm actually going to do a video the last week of the year, so next week. And I'm going to go over, this year in general, stuff that's happened on the channel, what subs I'm currently at ending the year, and then my goals for next year. And I'm going to do a video on that. But honestly, I'm hoping. I like to set a small goal and a big goal. And honestly, I'm hoping for 10,000 subscribers before the end of 2022. That is my goal. What do you guys put in the chat? What do you guys think? How many subscribers am I going to have at the end of 2022? In the video that I do, December 30th or December 31st, that I'm going to put out next week. I'm going to ask you to comment, and then next year, at the end of the year, at the end of 2022. We're going to revisit the comments on that video to see who is right. But just out of curiosity, what do you guys think? How many subs am I going to have at the end of 2022? But to answer your question, I'm hoping for at least 10K by the end of 2022. I don't know if that's possible or not. I think it is. I think anything's possible at this point, but we'll see. Diaz or Poirier? So what's crazy is, and I've wanted to talk about this a little bit because I feel like there was a lot of news about Nate Diaz calling out Dustin Poirier and the potential for it to be on, UFC 270. I favor Dustin to win that fight. But with that being said, a lot of people are acting as if Dustin would go out there and absolutely starch Nate Diaz. Let me tell you this, and I'm not one of these people who's dishonest, who, there's some people who will hype up the Diaz brothers just because they know the Diaz brothers have a huge fan base and they don't want to, piss anyone off or whatnot. I think that Nate Diaz has a legitimate chance in a fight against Dustin Poirier. Some people may say I'm crazy. Again, I favor Dustin Poirier. But, I mean, what's Dustin going to do to him that nobody else is going to do to him? Nobody else. Jorge Masvidal is bigger than Dustin Poirier. Probably has just a good striking, just a good wrestling, in my opinion. It's not like Dustin's some jiu-jitsu wizard. I really think that Nate Diaz could potentially outbox Dustin Poirier later in the fight and maybe get a finish. I don't know if he would. My guess is, if I had to predict it right now, I'd go Dustin Poirier by decision. But I think Nate Diaz has a fighting chance in that fight. And, I think that if it goes to the ground, I think Diaz has the jiu-jitsu advantage. I think Diaz has the cardio advantage. I think both guys are super durable. Both guys have taken a lot of damage. But I don't think either guy's going to get finished by a KO or anything like that. So we'll see. We'll see if the fight comes to fruition. I think it makes perfect sense for both guys right now. And we'll see if it happens. So what's up, Into Thin Air? Appreciate you, man. Been a supporter for a while. You were subscribed to me like the first month of the channel, second month of the channel, something like that. Appreciate you. Sports Pass, we don't even want to discuss that freak show here. Whose power is more devastating, Ngannou's or Lewis? That's tough, man. I would say probably Derrick Lewis, just because his shots that'll put you out don't even come from a significant amount of distance. it just seems like the short shots will just KO you at any point if he lands on you. Where Ngannou kind of winds up, throws these wild winging punches, and knocks you out, So I say Derrick Lewis. Who do you think Stipe should fight next? Either John Jones or Derrick Lewis, honestly. I would like to see either one of those fights. I think that makes the most sense. 24K CJ says 5 to 7K subs by the end of next year. I think that'd be awesome. I'm pushing for 10K, but we'll see. We'll see what it is. Who knows? We might all be off. I don't know. Maybe I have 100,000. I don't know. How do you think Belal and Khamzat would play out on the ground? Very interesting. That is a tough fight to pick. And honestly, when it comes to Belal Muhammad versus Khamzat Chimaev, and I've never been a huge believer in Belal Muhammad, but I tweeted something out earlier. And by the way, guys, if you don't follow me on Twitter, at MMA Joey C, same for Instagram. The names are down here in this little banners at some point in time if you want to follow me there. But I quoted, an article about Belal Muhammad, something he said in an interview. And finally, somebody in the welterweight division gets it. And I have to applaud Belal Muhammad. He said a win over Khamzat Chimaev is worth more than a win over one of these top 10 ranked guys. And he's right. I'm tired of guys using the excuse, Khamzat isn't even ranked in the top 10, or Khamzat wasn't ranked, I don't want to fight him. The benefit to beating a guy with a lot of hype is a lot better than just beating, okay, we're beating the number 5, number 6 Wonderboy Thompson. If Belal can go out there and beat Khamzat Chimaev, he is going to absorb some of that hype from Khamzat. He's not going to turn into Khamzat overnight, but he will absorb some of that hype by defeating him. There's so much hype around him. As far as the way I think it'll go on the ground, I think Khamzat is just a better grappler. It's not like I have a lot of evidence to support that, but he just looks like, I feel like it wouldn't be a blowout for Khamzat on the ground, but I think Khamzat has better submission skills. I think Khamzat has better ground and pound. I think Khamzat has better control. But that all being said, we haven't seen Khamzat against really crazy elite level competition. Li Jingliang was a nice step up in competition, but we still need to see him against some more of the top tier guys before we say. But I absolutely love the Belal Muhammad Khamzat Chimaev matchup. I think I'll say Khamzat finishes him by submission. Keep the questions coming, guys. And don't forget to like the stream. If you haven't liked the stream yet, by the way, I forgot to say, it's December 22nd, 2021. So 3 days till Christmas, guys. 3 days till Christmas and almost the end of the year. That's insane to me. Can Derrick Lewis get the next title shot if Francis beats Gane, considering he has a win over him? Yes. There's not a lot of depth to the heavyweight division. There's not a lot of depth. And if Ngannou goes out there and starches Gane, I mean, who else? Let me pull up the rankings real quick. And guys, by the way, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to the channel right this very second. I'm not ending this stream until we hit 1,800 subscribers, so we have to get it. But let me pull up the rankings real quick. So who else is in the heavyweight division early? So Ciryl Gane, Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic. So basically, Derrick Lewis is behind Stipe and John Jones in terms of a title shot. So if maybe John Jones doesn't return, who knows if Stipe might take another fight and lose. But I think it's realistic for Derrick Lewis to end up with another title shot at some point in time. I really do. I don't think he's in a great spot right now, having lost to Gane. But considering the, knockout power of Derrick Lewis, I think he can win any fight. It's just a matter of what happens within the fight. I predicted him to lose to Ciryl Gane, but I picked him to beat Chris Daukaus in this recent fight. I've doubted him plenty of times where he's got the knockout, but I really think Derrick Lewis can achieve big things in the division, and it would not shock me in a couple years, in the next 2 years, if somehow Derrick Lewis became champion. I'm not predicting that by any means, but I think it's a possibility just based off his crazy power. I think Poirier destroys the legs of Diaz. I agree. Diaz is so heavy on that lead leg. And I favored Poirier to win that fight. I favor Poirier to win that fight, but I just don't think it's what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think it's crazy to suggest that Nate Diaz has a chance to win. I just don't think it's crazy. Some people were acting like it was crazy. We'll see. Hold on. Keep the questions coming, guys, and don't forget to like the stream. If you haven't liked the stream yet, go like the stream. Uh, would Diaz versus Dustin be bad if Diaz wins and leads the promotion with such a win? I don't think it really matters, and I think the UFC would find a way to re-sign uh, Diaz regardless. I think they're going to find a way to re-sign him. They know he draws in pay-per-views. Doesn't matter how many fights he loses, he's going to draw in pay-per-views. They're not letting Diaz go without getting that third fight against Conor McGregor, regardless of what's going on. Nate's jiu-jitsu is going to play a role if Nate uses it. Yeah, but I don't know. It's not easy to take Dustin Poirier down. I mean, we even seen that in the Charles Oliveira fight. He kind of had to improvise a little bit. It's not like he was getting straight takedowns. Imagine Diaz beat Poirier and got a title shot at 155. Then we could get Conor versus Nate trilogy for the title. Okay, I am not predicting this by any means. And, I know people are going to think I'm some kind of fanboy, but I always tell you the honest truth. Even if it sounds crazy, I think Diaz has a legitimate chance to beat Charles Oliveira. I really do. I really, really do. Styles make fights. And I believe Oliveira would out-grapple Diaz, and that's how he would win the fight. And I think he would outstrike him as well. But Diaz is just so durable. Charles Oliveira doesn't have the best cardio. He's ever improving. And I would pick Charles Oliveira to win. But Diaz is kind of one of those weird guys where it's like he would get blown out in this fight, but he would be competitive in this fight. And the UFC would try to fit Diaz into a title shot any chance they get. They would genuinely try to get him in a title shot any chance they get. And if he got a big win over Dustin Poirier, it wouldn't surprise me. But luckily, lightweight's kind of backlogged right now. You have Justin Gaethje waiting on a shot. You have Islam Makhachev kind of waiting on a shot. But Neil Dariush is fighting Islam Makhachev for the next shot after Justin Gaethje. So, you get what I'm saying. So, luckily, I don't think that would happen. But nothing surprised me with the UFC. And what's disturbing is the MMA media are the people who are supposed to hold them accountable and ask them questions and post articles giving them, shit when they say dumb things and do dumb things. But the MMA media would gobble it up. They would love every second. They were like, well, he beat Dustin and he got one win. Diaz beat Dustin. Now he's getting a title shot. Justin Gaethje only had one win and he got a title shot. And they would find ways to justify it. The media would find ways to justify it for the UFC. I got to ask what you think about Woodley getting KO'd. Dude, to be honest, I always say, what I don't like these freak show fights, and they're basically a circus, and I have no problem with these guys going out and making their money, but it's just not for me. And because it's not for me, I don't like to support it. This is why I don't really do videos about it, and I only really talk about it if asked. But I think that the MMA media, and again, I hate to keep just trying to shit on the MMA media, but the MMA media will continue to gobble Jake Paul up, and they will continue not to even criticize that this guy is fighting washed up UFC talent that is 30 or 40 pounds lighter than him. Also, I think Woodley, just as his career trajectory in the UFC, I mean, how many times does this guy say, oh, I got to let my hands go. I got to let my hands go. Got to let my hands go. Everybody that I saw tweeting about that fight were saying that absolutely nothing was happening until that KO. So, I take that for what you will. I think it's an embarrassment to Woodley. A lot of people are going out there and saying this is an indictment on the MMA community. And I know a lot of people who love MMA are defensive of it. I don't care that Woodley lost. I think he's embarrassed himself enough. I think he's older. I think maybe, as long as he's getting, paid big, I guess it's worth it to take that brain damage. But Woodley has to wake up every day, look down at his hands where he has an I love Jake Paul tattoo, and know this guy slept me. But it seems like those two have become friends. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes with them two. But, I mean, I don't think it has an effect on the MMA community. And I'm not going to be one of those people. Like, the MMA community is so defensive of their own, and they can't imagine, oh my God, one of their guys got slept by some YouTuber who's been boxing. Woodley was never a great striker. Woodley had a nasty right hand, but that right hand was set up by his other techniques, his wrestling, his leg kicks. Other guys trying to come in. But boxing is a whole different sport. It's no different than a football player going to play tennis or whatever. It's a whole different sport. I don't care that Woodley lost. Some people do. Some people think it's an indictment on the UFC. Jake Paul's out there saying, I embarrassed the whole company. So you beat a washed up former champion who was on a 4 or 5 fight losing streak now, who came in on short notice. And, again, the MMA media and the boxing media who are covering it, they won't spin it in that light. They won't talk about it in that light because it won't look as impressive. And the second this guy loses, I think the interest will wane. He went out there and knocked out Woodley, so the interest will move on. But none of the media is going to talk about, oh, he's calling out undersized guys. He's fighting washed up UFC fighters. The options are out there, I'm sure, where he can fight boxers. The options are out there where I'm sure he can fight much better competition. But that's not what he wants. And there's been some talk of, was the fight fixed, this and that. Regardless if this fight was explicitly fixed or not, just the circumstances and how they're put together, essentially the fight is fixed in a way. Because he goes out there and picks the perfect opponent. He goes out there and picks a guy who's undersized, picks a guy who's older, you know what I mean? So he's smart. He's stacking all the odds in his favor. That's what he's doing. It's like these guys who play, back in the day, I used to play Grand Theft Auto online. It's these guys that are buying the shark cards for $50 and they have all the best weapons. They have all the best, cars and stuff like that. And he's stacking the odds in his favor, and he'll continue to do that. And he's going to continue to make money off that. And eventually people will get bored and they'll constantly have to up the ante. And eventually he's going to fight someone where he bites off more than he can chew. And eventually he will lose. And then I believe they'll do a rematch. And then if he loses again, the interest will be gone completely. So that's my take on it. I hope I gave you a good enough answer. I really don't like talking about it because I just don't like to even put too much thought into it. But I appreciate you coming to the live chat and asking the questions. How would a fight between Belal and Colby go? That would be a very close fight. I think both guys are very similar fighters. Neither guy has great striking. I think Colby would probably outpace him. I don't think either guy would have the grappling advantage. If they did, I think it would be Colby. I think Colby's got better cardio, and I think Colby would probably win the fight just with his pressure and his striking, which is crazy because his striking is terrible. But when you put pressure on people, when you put the volume that he puts out, it's just insane. By the way, guys, if you want to support the channel, you can become a member. We have loyalty badges, custom emojis, and also now a members-only Discord where you can message me directly. It's just a simple way to support the channel. And once you become a member, even for 1 month, and you join the Discord, the members-only Discord, you will never be kicked out of it, even if you're no longer a member. So the link is in the description if you want to do that. I also have MMA Joey t-shirts. The link is in the description for that if you want to buy one of those and support the channel as well. Now I lost my spot in the chat. Sometimes when you go through the chat, it scrolls down too far, even when you want to scroll down a little bit. Should Nate and Conor trilogy should happen? I think you're asking me, should it happen? Yes, and I think it will happen. I don't think the UFC will lose that fight. Regardless if they lose their next 10 fights, the Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor trilogy will consistently be there. Will always be there. People will want to see that fight. People want to see, it resolved. They're 1-1. I personally think Nate Diaz is up 2-0, and that's not me being biased. The second fight I thought was clearly Nate Diaz's fight. Unfortunately, McGregor got the decision. So I think, the 1-1 narrative, we can see it happen. I think Nate Diaz will do it. It's a big money fight. Conor McGregor will do it. It's a big money fight. But if Conor takes the trilogy and then loses, it's an absolute catastrophe for him. Do you think Miocic will be champion again? No, I do not. I don't think Miocic beats Ngannou. I don't think Miocic beats Ciryl Gane, and I don't think Miocic beats John Jones. So, no, I do not think he'll be champion again, unfortunately. If Conor versus Kamaru happens in the 175 division, you guys might think I'm crazy, but with the right game plan, Conor will lose in 3 rounds, not 2 rounds. Okay, I thought you were going somewhere else for that, and I was going to call you crazy. How would Ngannou versus Lewis 2 go? I think it'd be very boring. I think eventually someone gets KO'd, though. Because I think, they would throw more knowing the pressure of that first fight being super boring. I think it would be very boring until someone got KO'd, basically. It'd be just, looking at each other, short bursts of shots. Eventually someone gets clipped and knocked out. Can you predict UFC champion at the end of 2022? I'm actually going to do a video where I give a prediction of every champion in each division at the end of 2022. I'm going to do that. We're off the next 4 weeks. There's no fights for the next 4 weeks. We got Christmas coming up, then New Year's. I'm going to do a video where I predict the champion of each division at the end of 2022, and we can revisit it. I don't know how accurate it's going to be, but I'm going to do my best to see, and try to guess how the divisions play out over the course of 2022, and there will be a video on that in the next couple weeks, before UFC 270. Probably next week if I had to guess. Let's take a look. And we're at 1,800 subscribers, guys. We made it to 1,800. I really wanted to make it to 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But, there's only so many days. I think there's 9 days left in the year. I don't think we're getting 200 subscribers in 9 days. Seems like we're averaging about like 80 or 90 subscribers a week. So first week of January, I think we'll hit that 2,000 subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you. If you guys watch the videos, if you guys tune into the live streams, participate in the chat, comment on the videos, I appreciate you guys so much. I can't believe 1,800 subscribers already. Absolutely blows my mind. And now some of you guys who may have seen recently, if you publicly subscribe to the channel and you're not subscribed, you donate via Super Chat to the channel, or you become a member during these live streams, your name will pop up. I think it's right here with an MMA gift. I set it up with Streamlabs where now there's a pop-up. If you publicly subscribe, you donate via Super Chat, or you become a member. But I appreciate you guys very, very much. If either Diaz brothers gets by Lord Littlebrook, then one should get Chandler next. What is up with these random things that you're always saying, SS? I have no idea what you're saying half the time. Gang 1800, thank you, DMT Monkey. Appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate you. I'm going to remember... I've told you guys this plenty of times. I'm going to keep pushing with this channel. I'm going to be consistent with this channel, and I'm going to grow this channel to be a large MMA channel. That's my plan. And I will remember all the names that were here very, very early on in the channel. The people who were here in the live streams every week, I will remember them. The early members of the channel, the people who are commenting on videos. And what's great is I can always go back and click on these live streams and, watch the live stream chat replay and see who was in here. So I'll remember you guys. Appreciate you so much. You have no idea. Nate is old, washed up. I think he's kind of the same fighter he's always been. Super durable, decent striking, great jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't say he's washed up, but I get what you're saying though. With Tony versus Gillespie ending a decision if it happens, definitely Gillespie's not finishing Tony Ferguson. If there is a finish, then Tony Ferguson TKOs Gillespie. I have no desire to see that fight though. That's a terrible matchup for Tony. But why give Tony a better fight than that? Come on now. UFC needs to hurry up and announce Jan versus Sterling, Rose versus Carla, Glover versus Yuri, and Valentina next fight. I thought we would have more news by now. MMA was dead this week. I think in the next week or two, we will have a lot of news. The UFC does not like to stay irrelevant, so there will be a lot of that. I think Jan versus Aljamain is probably going to happen in February, maybe on the Whittaker Adesanya 2 card, if I had to guess. If Dariush wins against Makhachev, what does that say about Ferguson? People say he's old, and look at fighters he lost to, Gaethje, Oliveira, and Dariush. I think people don't realize that Tony's fighting elite competition. Even if Dariush loses to Islam, I think Tony's fought elite competition. I think Tony's still good. I think he's getting up there in age, but he just fought a lot of tough competition. You're going to lose. If Conor McGregor fought all three of those same names, he would have lost. And people don't talk about the fact he took Justin Gaethje on short notice. He was supposed to fight Habib. He took Justin Gaethje instead. Woodley wanted to win with clinching. I knew he would lose after. Okay. Jake Paul has broken into our ranks. He's one of us now. I hate to say it, but it's true. No. Stop. They're doing a UFC pay-per-view in May in Brazil, so Glover is probably going to be on that card, I would guess. What is the best promising contender in each division? Great question. Don't hold me to this, but let's go through and take a look. Thank you for the question. At flyweight, honestly, probably, I guess this is a contender. Kai Kara France. I mean, he looked great against Cody Garbrandt, knocked him out. I think he's a very interesting contender. Bantamweight, probably Sean O'Malley. As much as I shit on Sean O'Malley, I see it's hard to if you're talking about established guys or like up and coming guys, because then you say Kai Kara France has kind of been there for a bit. So I'm just talking about non-champions. So Kai Kara France at flyweight. Most promising contender at bantamweight. I was thinking up and coming for Sean O'Malley, but up and coming too, Merab Dvalishvili, honestly. Featherweight, Giga Chikadze. Lightweight, I'll say Rafael Fiziev. I think he has very high expectations. I think he could, move up the ranks rather quickly. Welterweight, Khamzat Chimaev. Got to be Khamzat. Middleweight, I'll say Nasruddin Imavov. I think is how you pronounce his name. Or Andre Muniz. I think both of those guys. I know that's, more of the up-and-coming types, but I think they're both very interesting. We kind of know who everyone else is at this point. Light heavyweight, got to be Yuri Prohaska, Alexander Rakic. Heavyweight, Tom Aspinall. Or John Jones, I guess you could say, too. Women's strawweight, Marina Rodriguez. Women's flyweight, ew. Women's flyweight, ew. I don't even have you one. I guess Manon Fiorot. Women's bantamweight. Ew. I can't even give you one for women's bantamweight. And women's featherweight doesn't exist. So there you go. I hope I answered your question. I hope I answered it. I answered it to the best of my ability. Congrats for 1,800. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate you. I'm not a fan of Belal, but he's very fortunate to be in the top 5. He does nothing great, in my opinion. I felt the same way about Belal, and he went out there and absolutely destroyed Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in impressive fashion. I think Belal is where he belongs. He belongs to be top 5. I wasn't a big believer in him. I think he's really well rounded. I don't think he does anything over the top amazing. But you look at the division. I think Belal beats Jorge Masvidal. Belal obviously beats Wonderboy Thompson. Belal definitely beats Neil Magny. I think Belal probably beats Sean Brady. Belal probably beats Michael Chiesa. Belal, I'd favor Khamzat to beat Belal, and that's the fight he wants. Belal has a loss to Vicente Luque. I think he loses to Vicente. I think he loses to everyone above him, to be honest. I think Belal loses to 4-3, 2-1, and the champion. So Belal's in a good spot right now. He got a solid win. I think he, he's getting the respect. He's starting to give the respect he deserves a little bit here. But at the same time, I get what you're saying, and I thought he was going to get absolutely destroyed by Wonderboy. So the fact that he went out there and did what he did against Wonderboy was super impressive to me, honestly. Super, super impressive to me. So we'll see where he goes. I hope that he gets the Khamzat Chimaev fight next. Honestly, I want to see him get the Khamzat Chimaev fight next. What's up? Keep out. Hope you're doing well. Guys, keep putting questions in the chat. Fill the chat with as many questions as you can think of. I greatly appreciate it. It helps move the chat along and gives us plenty of things to talk about. I know we've talked about a lot already. What about Norma Dumont? Oh, man, I have nothing to say about Norma Dumont, honestly. I got nothing to say about Norma Dumont. Do you think Tony will get cut if he loses his next fight? Probably. Probably loses. Women's bantamweight will be dead soon because Valentina's going to get that belt. We will see. I think women's bantamweight's already looking god-awful. I mean, ew. If Nunes comes back and beats, Juliana, I guess they do a trilogy maybe. I don't know. I like women's MMA. I know there's some people who are like biased against women's MMA, but outside of strawweight, bantamweight and featherweight are just featherweight's non-existent. Thank you, Jock, for subscribing, my friend. Thank you for subscribing. I greatly appreciate you. Let's see. Promising contender in women's bantamweight. I don't know if that's another question or did I miss something. I think I didn't give you an answer. But if I had to go for most promising, maybe Hareen Aldana, but I really don't think there is a promising contender at bantamweight, to be quite honest. Belal lost to Jeff Neal too. I do remember that now that you mention it. Did you see the guy that put $300K on Nunes? If he bet on Pena with that money, he would have won $4.5 million. Yeah, easy. Hindsight's 2020, as they always say. Khamzat touches Belal chin one time and it turns to dust. He should stop lying about wanting that fight. I think he wants to fight. I want to see Belal versus Khamzat. Honestly, I want to see Khamzat versus Gilbert Burns. For me, that's the best fight they can make right now. Um, is Belal versus Wonderboy equal to Font beating Garbrandt? What do you think? More questions than answers? I think it's a combination of Belal didn't get enough respect at some point, and then Wonderboy's regression is worse than we thought. But I think it's similar to that. I think it's similar to that. I think Belal is on the come up. I don't know how he does against the guys ahead of him now. It's when he's sitting at number 5. I don't think he deserves a title shot by any means, but definitely a good performance. And now he's 1 or 2 wins away from a title shot. What do you think is the hardest fight for Khamzat and welterweight and middleweight? Hardest fight for Khamzat at welterweight. Khamzat at welterweight. I think the hardest fight for Khamzat at welterweight is Gilbert Burns. The jiu-jitsu threat, whew, the jiu-jitsu threat of Gilbert Burns, plus the striking, plus the cardio, plus he's so strong. At middleweight, Marvin Vettori, for sure. I think Ciryl Adesanya is very, very tough for him as well. And I think there's nothing that tells me he would beat Ciryl Adesanya at this point. I think Ciryl outstrikes him and defends the takedowns. But Marvin Vettori would be very tough matchup stylistic-wise. Marvin Vettori just absorbs any hard strikes like it's nothing. He's super well-rounded. Robert Whittaker's another one of those guys as well. So Suleiman Jabor just subscribed. Thank you for subscribing. I don't know how all of a sudden we're having up and down subscribers. I'm just saying this. We went from 803 to 801 somehow, but we just gained this. I have no idea. But guys, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I do these every Wednesday. If you're watching this and you weren't here live, leave a comment. We'll talk about it next week. Belal is extremely underrated. I think he was. I think people are giving him more respect now, but I agree with what you're saying. What's next for RDA? Me personally, I would love to see the RDA Tony Ferguson rematch. If not, give me RDA versus Michael Chandler. I think that's the fight to make. But you could also make RDA versus Conor McGregor, honestly. Honestly. Norma Dumont got KO'd in the first round by Megan Anderson. That's all I need to say. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Ginger, what's going on? No, Meriden Heights, no. How would Chandler versus Poirier go? I think Poirier would weather the early storm, and I think he'd finish Chandler in the 3rd or 4th round. I think Poirier finishes Chandler in the 3rd or 4th round. And I want to talk about it briefly because I know there's been some articles and some tweets from Chandler talking about how Poirier quit. Chandler called timeout in the middle of a fight. And that's quitting to me. So why are you talking about Poirier like that, dude? And could this guy be simping for Conor McGregor enough? He knows the way to get a Conor McGregor fight is to compliment Conor McGregor. And all he's doing out there is just sucking Conor over and over and over again, saying all these nice things about him. And that he's done so much for the sport and that he was a 2-time champ. Chandler wants that Conor McGregor fight so badly. So badly he'll say anything and do anything to get it. And it's actually disgusting. What big fight would you add to 270 to make it the main card better? Khamzat Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns. Book it right now. Book it right now. I actually made a video, and I can't remember which fights I suggested in there as well. Also, Nate Diaz versus Poirier would be an amazing addition to that. Honestly. In my opinion, it's Usman mainly to do with his durability, cardio, strength, wrestling, and power, and Whittaker because his takedown D, and Khamzat has nothing for him on the feet. Very true. Both. There's so many great options. I just tried to give you some options that were not the champion. We're not the champion. And guys, do me a favor. If you haven't liked the stream already, do me a favor. Click the like button. That's how more people find this stream. That's how these streams, get bigger every week, every month, whatever. And that's how I'm going to get to 2,000 subscribers. Who knows? Maybe by the end of the year. I don't know. We're at 1,802 subscribers right now. Are people overlooking Whittaker, or does Izzy got his number, you think? I think it's a little bit of both. For me, I'm leaning Izzy. I picked Whittaker in the first fight, but I think Whittaker, I picked Whittaker in the first fight. I just think Izzy, looks so good in that fight. It's hard for me to go and then pick Israel Adesanya. Not go pick Whittaker again after Israel Adesanya just put on a master class, and he's just looked so good since then. And even in the Vettori fight where he didn't look spectacular, look at Vettori since then. Look at that fight against Paulo Costa. It's hard to look good against Marvin Vettori, honestly. He makes it a dirty fight every time out. He's super durable. He doesn't react to any strikes. It's like he never gets hurt. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think Whittaker has a better chance than people are giving him credit for. But at the same time, it's hard to forget that absolute beatdown that Adesanya put on him in that first fight. And I picked Whittaker in that first fight. I want to see Whittaker come out. I don't want to see him. I think what happened in that original fight is I think Whittaker saw the Kelvin Gastelum fight and said, I'm going to fight exactly like that and I will win. And he came out. He was just lunging forward, throwing these huge winging wild shots, looking to take Adesanya out. Started to tire out a little bit after that first round. Got hurt badly at the end of the first round. And I think he needs to refine that strategy a little bit, mixing the grappling, mixing the takedowns, and just try to beat up Izzy on the ground, take him down, hold him down, control him against the fence, knee to the legs, avoid the leg kicks, don't get off balance throwing these wild winging shots. Because Israel's so slick with the head movement and the striking, he'll slide right out of the way and then just KO you with one shot. And then what he did against Whittaker was an absolute masterclass performance, and his striking just looks so good. Usman versus Whittaker is such a good fight. I hope we see it if he beat Adesanya. I think we will. I think Usman will try to go up if, in fact, Whittaker does beat Adesanya. But then again, I think we'll see the trilogy first. So if Whittaker beats Adesanya, we'll see Adesanya versus Whittaker 3. And then if Whittaker can win the second fight, then Usman goes up and fights Whittaker. Do you think the UFC is trying to make UFC 270 worse by removing Brunson versus Jarrett? I thought they were working on something else and they're hoping to still get it done. And I think it's a Khamzat Chimaev fight. I think we could see Khamzat Chimaev versus someone on that 270 card. I find it hard to believe they're leaving it as is. But who knows? Maybe they're thinking the title fight, the heavyweight title fight, will draw enough by itself. But I really hope they fill it out with at least one more good card. Whittaker destroys Usman. I would favor Whittaker in a fight against Usman. Will Paulo Costa do well at light heavyweight? Man, it's hard to say. I think he'll have some success. But that division is really starting to fill out right now. You got Magomed Ankalaev, Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, Alexander Rock, Jiri Prohaska, Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira, and Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira are borderline out the door. I know that sounds funny. One's a former champion, one is the current champion. But I really believe that division is just getting so much better by the month, it seems like. I think Paulo Costa can have some success. I think Paulo Costa can beat Johnny Walker. I think he can beat Nikita Krylov. I think he can probably beat Volkan Ozdemir. But even Dominic Reyes is going to be a tough task for Paulo Costa. I really do. Sup, Joey? Is there any fights that happened in 2021 that you will be rewatching during this almost month break? Yeah, I'm going to rewatch a lot of them. I'm going to be doing a lot of top 5 videos. And then what I'm going to try to do is do polls on the channel maybe next week. And then we'll talk about it in the chat, and we'll have our own little live stream awards as well and see what you guys think. What's your favorite fight of the year? I'm at least going to do top 5 fights of the year, my favorite fights. So I'm going to go back and watch Gaethje Chandler. I'm going to go back and watch Yuri versus Dominic Reyes. I'm going to go back and watch Chandler Oliveira. I'm going to go back and watch Max versus Yair. There's a bunch of fights that were just amazing this year. And I'm going to go back and rewatch. So, what fights did you pick terribly? Example, I picked Costa to beat Adesanya. And yeah, that didn't go well. I picked Costa to beat Adesanya as well. If we're talking about 2021, let me tell you I know we've been through this before, but I'll go through it right now because I know I didn't have a channel for all of it. But if you guys been here before, you could fact check me and know that I was lying because how would I keep it consistent? So let's see. Let's take a look. I'm going to go through some fights. I'm going to start in, and I might not be able to remember all my picks for 2020, but I'm going to do my best. And I'm trying to remember who won. So I'm going to start with McGregor Cowboy. I'm going to start with the beginning of 2020, and I'm going to go through. Some of them I might not be able to remember my picks. I remember all my picks for 2021, but 2020 is hard to remember. And I'll see which ones I got terrible. So we have McGregor Cowboy. I picked McGregor. We have Curtis Blades versus Junior Dos Santos. I picked Dos Santos. I was wrong. We have John Jones versus Dominic Reyes. I picked John Jones. I was right, but a lot of people think I'm wrong. Corey Anderson versus Jan Blachowicz. Don't remember who I picked. Felder versus Hooker. I can't remember who I picked. Benavidez versus Figueroa. I picked Benavidez. Was dead wrong on that one. Adesanya versus Romero. I picked Romero on that one. That was the most awful fight I've ever seen, and I will never rewatch that fight. That fight was just god awful. I mean, oh my god. I remember being so hyped for Adesanya versus Romero just to be let down. Kevin Lee versus Oliveira. I was on the Charles Oliveira train for like 3 years now. I picked Oliveira. Woodley versus Edwards did not happen. Ngannou versus Rosenstrike did not happen. There's canceled events. I know they might have been rescheduled. Ferguson versus Gaethje. I wish I would have had a channel then, because for Ferguson versus Gaethje, even though Gaethje was stepping in short notice, I was confident that Gaethje was going to outstrike him. So I picked that very well. Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira. Who did I pick in that one? I don't remember who I picked in that one. Overeem versus Walt Harris. I picked Overeem. Woodley versus Burns. I picked Burns. Nunes versus Spencer. I picked Nunes. I versus Cavillo. I don't remember. Blades versus Volkov. I don't remember who I picked. I think I picked Blades in that one. Poirier versus Hooker. I picked Poirier. I'm just trying to refresh myself with some of my awful picks. We'll see if we can find them here in a second. We'll see if we can, because I'm just going through and seeing, and also you guys get to know some of my picks from back in 2020. Usman versus Masvidal. Confident Usman was going to win, out-grapple him. Kattar versus Ige. Who did I pick in Kattar versus Ige? I think I took Calvin Kattar, but I'm not 100% sure. Figueroa versus Benavidez. I picked Benavidez again, and I was dead wrong. And that was the most brutal strangulation I've ever seen in my entire life. Whittaker versus Till. Picked Whittaker. Brunson versus Shabazian. Picked Shabazian, but after that, I was on the Brunson train. Lewis versus Oleinik. I picked Oleinik. Dead wrong. Miocic versus Cormier 3. I picked Miocic. Great pick right there. Was confident that Miocic would make the adjustments. I didn't want to say the first fight was a fluky knockout, but I thought that Miocic, after the second fight particularly, I thought that he would win the fight. Munoz versus Edgar. I picked Munoz. Edgar won, but Munoz should have won. Smith versus Rockage. I believe I took Rockage, but I can't remember for sure. Overeem versus Sakai. Don't remember. Watterson versus Hill. Don't remember. Covington versus Woodley. I think I might have took Woodley in that, but I think I was just wishful thinking. I wanted Colby to lose. Adesanya versus Costa. I picked Costa, and I was really confident. I just thought Costa was so big, had such good striking, and I just thought he would pull it off. I thought he would outstrike Adesanya. He would mix in the grappling. He would be chopping the legs early. Wrong. Home versus Aldana. Don't remember. Marlon Moraes versus Sandhagen. I think I might have picked Marlon, but I'm not 100% sure. Korean Zombie versus Ortega. I believe I picked Korean Zombie. Habib versus Gaethje. I picked Habib. Hall versus Silva. I picked Anderson Silva. And he was winning that fight up until he got stopped. Santos versus Teixeira. I believe I picked Santos, and Teixeira pulled it off. Felder versus Dos Anjos. I think Felder stepped in short notice, so I picked Dos Anjos. Figueroa versus Perez. Picked Figueroa. Smith versus Clark. Smith, easy. Hermanson versus Vittori. Don't remember my pick. Figueroa versus Moreno, 1. I picked Figueroa. That was a draw. Thompson versus Neal. I picked Thompson. Holloway versus Kattar. Easy. Holloway. And now we're getting to 2021. And now I remember pretty much every pick here. Chiesa versus Magny, took Chiesa. Poirier versus McGregor 2, I picked McGregor. Overeem versus Volkov, I picked Volkov. I thought Overeem was a great fighter, but I just truly believed that Overeem's chin was such a liability. Usman versus Burns, I thought this was going to be a very competitive fight. One of my buddies asked me like about a bet, and I told him if you're going to bet on Burns, bet him for first round KO, and it almost came to fruition. But I took Usman. Blades versus Lewis, I took Blades. I thought Blades was going to out grapple him, pick him apart on the feet, and it was going his way until he got caught with that uppercut. Rosenstrike versus Gane. I've always been a big believer in Gane. I saw him, when he made his UFC debut, I thought that he could really be something, and now it's going to fruition. One of my best picks in 2021, I picked Jan Blachowicz to beat Israel Adesanya. A lot of people doubted Jan Blachowicz in that fight. They really did. And, he pulled it off. And he won the majority of the rounds, 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. I don't remember exactly what I scored it. And the commentary was so biased towards Adesanya. It was unreal. Edwards versus Muhammad. I picked Edwards. It was a no contest. Brunson versus Holland. Easy win for Brunson. Miocic versus Ngannou. I took Ngannou. I said Miocic was the better fighter, but Ngannou's going to sleep him. Stipe's older, slower, been in those battles with Cormier. I thought Ngannou would take his head off. Vettori versus Holland. Easy pick for Vettori. Whittaker versus Gastelum. I picked Whittaker. Usman Masvidal 2. Took Usman. Reyes versus Prohaska. I was a big believer in the up-and-coming Yuri Prohaska, and he pulled it off. That was one of the craziest fights. I had like 10 subscribers, and I live streamed that event back when I had like 10 subscribers. Rodriguez versus Watterson. I picked Rodriguez. Oliveira versus Chandler. Picked Oliveira. Font versus Garbrandt. Picked Garbrandt. Rosenstrike versus Sakai. Picked Rosenstrike. Adesanya versus Vettori 2. I picked Adesanya. The Korean Zombie versus Dan Ige. I think I picked Dan Ige. And I got that one wrong. Gane versus Volkov. Picked Gane. Poirier versus McGregor 3. Picked Dustin Poirier, and he pulls it off. He wrecks him for the entire first round. Then McGregor breaks his leg. Makhachev versus Moises. Picked Makhachev. Sandhagen versus Dillashaw. I picked Sandhagen. Sandhagen got robbed of the decision. And I know I'm going through a lot, but, we're almost done now, so might as well. Hall versus Strickland. I picked Hall. Ugh, what a terrible fight. I regret even watching that main event. Lewis versus Gane. Took Gane. Cannonier versus Gastelum. Took Gastelum. Thought he could have got the decision. Barboza versus Chikadze. Took Barboza. That was a bad one. Brunson versus Till. Took Brunson. I thought that was going to be an easy win for Brunson, and sure enough, it was. Smith versus Span. Smith. Took Smith. Volkanovski versus Ortega, took Volkanovski. Santos versus Walker, took Santos. Dern versus Rodriguez, took Dern. Lod versus Dumont, took Dumont. And what a terrible event that was. Costa versus Vettori, I took Costa. It was a very close fight, but Vettori won. Blachowicz versus Teixeira. That's probably my worst pick of recent memory, Blachowicz versus Teixeira. I thought Blachowicz was going to wreck him, lost. Usman versus Covington 2, took Usman. Holloway versus Rodriguez, took Holloway. Ketlin Vieira versus Misha Tate. Ooh, what a terrible main event. I took Vieira. Font versus Aldo, one of my favorite fights of the year. I picked Aldo. Oliveira versus Poirier, picked Oliveira. And Lewis versus Dawkins, and I took Lewis. So there you go. You guys know all my picks since 2020. And you guys can let me know what you think in the chat. And guys, keep throwing the questions out in the chat. We'll go as long as we have questions. But let's get back to where I was. CT, you asked me that question. You had no idea I was going to spend 20 minutes on it, huh? I think Izzy wins, but on points. No way Whittaker doesn't make adjustments to at least not get KO'd this time. We'll see. Easier said than done. Izzy's hard to figure out. They should make O'Malley versus Yanez for Houston in Yanez's backyard. I want them to make O'Malley versus Ricky Simone. I would love that fight, but I don't think they're going to make it. How crazy is O'Malley's ranked higher than Simone? O'Malley gets a win over Raulian Paiva. Simone gets a win over Rafael Sunsao. Who's making these rankings, honestly? Is Jordan Leavitt going to be a top contender in the 155-pound division? I think it's too early to tell. I think it's really too early to tell. He looks good, but I think it's too early to tell. Fighter of the year, Charles or Usman? Probably Usman. I think we all picked Yan versus Glover. No, I think somebody had Glover. I don't remember who it was. People who say Yan versus Sandhagen, they're not saying it because it was a drag out war, but they were saying because it was so high level. Whoever got to see it was lucky. Yeah, it was a great fight. That was my most anticipated fight on UFC 267. I was confident in Gaethje too. I see. Jones versus Gane is a recipe for disaster to be a boring fight. Just a thought. I'd still love to see it. A lot of people picked Reyes against Yan, and they were dead wrong. Yes, me too. I picked Yan Blachowicz against. I picked Reyes versus Yan Blachowicz. 304 and 194 overall picks this year. 2022 in main events. What did I go in main events? I have it saved. Hold on one second. Let me go pull this up. So for the year, I didn't keep track of all my picks. I am 30 and 11 in main events, and I'm 14 and 6 in title fights. The problem for me is I'm very fanatical in my research and how I make my picks. It's hard for me to pick full cards because I don't have enough time to do adequate enough research and watch fights and remember fights, and fights happen from a while ago and look back at the records and try to remember this and that to make what I feel are very educated guesses on who wins. So for me, I only pick like the most important fights. I want to get better on that as the channel grows and maybe eventually do full card picks. But for me right now, it's so hard to pick the entire card. I think if I did that, my picks would be terrible because I can't do enough, rewatching of old fights and all that type of stuff. But that's a great pick record. I'm very happy of my main event prediction record. To go 30 and 11, that's damn good. And a couple of those 11s, I think 2 or 3 of those 11 losses were very close decisions, like the Sandhagen loss to TJ Dillashaw. So, guys, if you're watching this for the first time and you're not subscribed, do me a favor, go subscribe. If you publicly subscribe, it will pop up on the screen. Let's see. Oh, I see that. Duh. I'm done. French fries, thank you for putting that in there. I was looking at my video while you must have been posting that in the chat. I didn't even see it. 30 and 11 and 1. Yep, because the Edwards Muhammad fight. No, Lamau Jordan Lever, once his opponent stop 1 or 2 takedowns, he gets slept. Yeah, I just think it's too early to tell. Who knows? Did you hear about your favorite person in the world getting cited for beating up 5 guys in Vegas? I've heard variations of the story. Who knows what the actual story is? Did you hear about someone doing a show with Lewis after the show? Yeah, I think that's made up. I don't believe that. If somebody did that, they should be disgusted with themselves. If you could watch one fight live next year that already set, what fight would you want that to watch? Would you? I just read that totally wrong, but I understand what you're saying. What fight would you want to watch live that's already set? So what fights do we already have set? We don't have that many set. Probably be Gane versus Ngannou, honestly. But realistically, the fight I want to see the most is Ngannou versus John Jones. So if it could be that, you think Conor should fight Oliveira or Justin? Absolutely not. He needs to get at least 2 wins to even be in that discussion. He has not won a lightweight fight since he beat Eddie Alvarez at UFC 205 in 2016. Think about that. What's up, Joey? What's up, Baz? Any news for Zabit or Tony Ferguson? No, not really. There's some rumors Tony Ferguson might be fighting Gregor Gillespie. I hope they don't, though. Joey, everyone in this chat knows they're not making Ricky versus O'Malley. That's the fight to make, too. It's so annoying. Bro, making picks in the prelims make the prelims way more fun. Yeah, I want to get better at it, but I just don't like making blind picks, So, do you think flyweight will be the best division in the future? Probably not. I think it's getting better slowly. I don't think it'll ever be the best division. The best division will always be featherweight, lightweight, or bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight, somewhere around there. I think bantamweight is currently the best division in the UFC. I mean, bantamweight is just so stacked. Look at the division. Let's go through it right now. Aljamain Sterling, Piotr Jan, TJ Dillashaw, Jose Aldo, Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font, Merab Dvalishvili, Dominic Cruz, Marlon Vera, Marlon Moraes, Pedro Munoz, Frankie Edgar, Sean O'Malley, Ricky Simone, Song Yadong, and Rafael Sunsao. All great fighters. I think they recently booked Marlon Moraes versus Song Yadong. That should be a great fight. And also they booked Alex Pereira the guy who has 2 wins over Ciryl Adesanya. They booked him against Bruno Silva. I absolutely love that fight. Love that fight. So we'll see. Thoughts on Sean Strickland? He's an interesting guy. Every time I see anything about Sean Strickland, it just seems so weird. Like he's saying the weirdest shit ever. The absolute weirdest shit ever. So I don't know. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that interesting, but he is a weird dude. I'll tell you that much. Thoughts on Kai Kara France now that he won? I think he's one of the most interesting prospects in the flyweight division. And I can't wait to see where he goes next, honestly. I think, that was a big win. But unfortunately, a lot of people are going to kind of take it away from him and saying it's more about the regression of Cody Garbrandt. But I think it's a solid win. And, it just goes to show he has knockout power at flyweight. He has great knockout power at flyweight. I can't wait to see. The flyweight is really starting to develop into something nice, You have Kai Kara France. You have Alexandra Pantoja. You got Askar Askarov, Devison Figueroa, Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, Alex Perez, Rogerio Bontorin, Tim Elliott, even hanging back at number 12 right now. Manuel Kopp, which sucks. I think his name should be Cape. Every time I see the name, I want to say Cape. Do you think we'll ever see Belal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards too? I hope not. Honestly, I hope not. But maybe. Bruno Silva is a good matchup for him too. Like, he's not going to take you down. I know that. There's no way that fight sucks. There's absolutely no way that Bruno Silva versus Alex Pereira is boring. I love that matchup. In one Dana interview, he said they have a fight for Tony, asked if it's fun, and Dana kind of brushed it off saying all Tony fights are fun. Dude, I hope not. I hope it's not damn Gregor Gillespie. Ooh. I do not want to see that. I do not want to see that fight at all. Guys, I still cannot believe. So now all of April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. In 9 months, guys, 1,802 subscribers, and we still got seven days left. I can't believe that. I started this channel. I logged in on this very computer right here and set up this channel on April 1st. And I think I put out my first video that very day. And I just can't believe in 9 months, 1,802 subscribers. That's insane to me. It's absolutely insane. I appreciate you guys very, very much. And let me actually turn this on so it pops up. Meriden Heights, thank you so much for the donation, man. Always donating to the channel. I appreciate you, man. Everything's going back into the channel. I appreciate it. At some point, I see it in the chat. At some point, there will be a GIF pop up, and I actually turned on the audio for it when I just seen it in the chat. Paddy Pimblett versus Cowboy at London. Prediction. Paddy Pimblett. I mean, who even wants to see Cowboy fight anymore? Disturbing. How would Pantoja versus Kai go? I think it's a close fight. I probably lean Kai Kara France right now. What happens if Ngannou wins, loses? What happens if Gane wins, loses? So let's break that down. Great question, Pitties and STI. Appreciate you being a member. Appreciate you being a supporter of the channel. Great questions. If Ngannou wins, the UFC automatically extends him for at least one fight or 1 year of inactivity. I believe that's how it works. So if he wins, Francis Ngannou's in the driver's seat, and it looks like the UFC is going to have to try to re-sign him. If they do not re-sign him, then they give Ngannou one more fight. Now, if he wins this one more fight, or he just sits out for a year, he's officially a free agent from the UFC. Now, even when he hits free agency, they still have an exclusive negotiating period. I think it's like 3 months or something like that, where they can negotiate a contract. He can't talk to anyone else. Then after that, they have the right to match usually. So if he goes signs a deal with Bellator, UFC can match it. So I think if Ngannou wins, I think most likely they find a way to lock him up before his next fight, because if he wins 2 and then he leaves, it's going to be really, really bad. But I think eventually they find a way. They don't want to lose Ngannou. If Ngannou loses, I think they easily re-sign him. I think they use the loss as negotiating power. They work out probably the rematch between him and Gane, or they use John Jones as a pawn. They say, "Look, Ngannou, we don't need you. You lost. We'll give John Jones the next title shot against Ciryl Gane." And I think they still eventually re-sign him, though they need him. The heavyweight division is very shallow. If Gane, so that answers your question. If Gane, that's basically the same thing. If Gane loses or wins, obviously I just kind of went through those different permutations. If Gane wins, though, I believe they do the rematch, but they use it as a negotiating tactic in the contract negotiations for Gane. You saw Brett ask Dana White if Conor can get a title shot when returning. All he said, "We'll have to see." Disgusting. How is that not a clear-cut no? Disgusting. Disgusting. I'm going to riot if that happens. If Conor McGregor returns to a title shot, not having won a lightweight fight since 2016, 5 years ago, if anyone in here hasn't liked the stream yet, go like the stream right this very second. Do you think Tony Ferguson versus Conor McGregor fight still has history and can sell, or it's too late? I think it can definitely sell. I would love to see that fight. I think I might going to make a video soon. Who's Conor McGregor going to fight in his return? Something like that. Or what's next for Conor McGregor? How far can Jamal Hill go in the light heavyweight division? I think he can break into, let's see. I think he'll definitely break into the top 10. Right now, I would favor him. I know he lost to Paul Craig, but I think Paul Craig is defeatable or beatable for him. I'd love to see Jamal Hill versus Johnny Walker. I think Jamal Hill probably beats Nikita Krylov. It's all about his takedown defense and his grappling. But I think he can go pretty far. Gregor posted a story tagging Tony yesterday. Do you think RDA will fight an up-and-coming prospect contender? RDA has always been a guy that seems like he's going to take any fight. So yes, he will. 2,000 subs by. What's your goals for the channel? I'm going to do a video at the end of the year telling my goals, but I want it to hit 2,000 before the end of the year. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I'll say 2,000 by the end of January. Cowboy took all the Hernandez hype. Who are they to say he can't to Pimlet? He leaves his chin up. Very true. Very true. Imagine, that would be an absolute catastrophe if Paddy Pimlet lost to Cowboy Cerrone, who's on like a 25-fight losing streak at this point in time. RDA was calling out for Zeev a few days ago. I'd love to see that fight. I'd absolutely love to see that fight. Maza Porcaro, thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to start throwing dollies at the UFC HQ if I ever see Conor in a title fight again. Dude, I'm riding. We're all riding. I'm going to be throwing dollies myself. I'm going to follow Dana White around and throw dollies at him if Conor gets a title shot with no lightweight win since 2016. It would be disgusting. How would you react if Tony Ferguson fought Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz welterweight and beat them both? Would make Tony Ferguson dangerous for the welterweight division? To answer your question, I think he could win both of those fights, but no, he would not be a threat to welterweight division. You look at welterweight full of grapplers. Belal Muhammad would destroy him. Vicente Luque would destroy him. Leon Edwards would destroy him. Gilbert Burns would destroy him. Colby and Usman would all destroy him. They would just take him down and wreck him, honestly. I love that fight and hate that at the same time. I don't want to see either. They were targeting Kevin Holland versus Chaos Williams. I don't know what's next for Kevin Holland. I like that Chaos Williams idea. I just saw that message. I missed it. But he's moving down to welterweight. Match him up with Santiago Ponzinibbio. I wouldn't mind that. That'd be a great fight. Mazda Porcaro, yo, found your channel today. Good job, bud. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. I'm trying to put out consistent MMA content, unbiased, and not be one of those channels or just like the MMA media is, who will just pump out articles or videos about popular fighters saying absolutely nothing. I'm trying to give you guys valuable content with a good bit of information. What do you think is the path for Paulo Costa in 2022? Brazilian greetings from Germany. Appreciate you, man. Paulo Costa's in a tough spot right now. The Vettori fight was amazing. I picked Paulo Costa to win that. Uh, there's talk of him going to light heavyweight, but he supposedly wants to stay at middleweight. I think if he can stay at middleweight and make the cut, I think there's more to that story about Paulo Costa. People made a big deal. They were criticizing Paulo Costa for what he did. Meanwhile, they let Nick Diaz get a pass when he came in. I think Paulo Costa had some type of injury. I think he'll be able to fight at middleweight again. And I think he can compete at a very high level at middleweight. I think he beats Derek Brunson. I think he beats Jared Cannonier. And I think he can beat Vettori and Whittaker. Obviously, he lost a Vettori fight, but it was a very competitive fight. And with some adjustments, and maybe if he wasn't injured, maybe he didn't have a bad, I'm assuming that he's injured. I don't know. There was something going on. There's no way he just showed up like that after hadn't done that his whole career. So I really think the path to Costa is stay at middleweight and work his way back to a title shot and make some adjustments in a potential Israel Adesanya or Robert Whittaker title fight. Obviously it would be an Adesanya rematch. The Whittaker fight would be new. They were supposed to fight April this year. Fortunately, Costa pulled out. But I still think Costa is an elite world-class fighter, and I'm very interested to see him fight. But thank you for the question, and thank you for finding the channel. If there's anyone else who just found the channel today and you haven't subscribed and turned on notifications yet, do it right this very second. I'm always pumping out good quality videos. At least that's what you guys tell me. So subscribe to the channel. True or false, Nick Diaz will fight again? I'll say true, but I do not want to see him fight again. And people are sugarcoating that last performance. That performance I thought was terrible. He quit mid-fight and wasn't even getting really lit up with that many strikes. Forgot Holland. I want D-Rod versus Chaos. D-Rod is huge. And the Chaos fight would be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, honestly. Chaos versus Pons. D-Rod versus Holland. They're all great fights. I mean, there's so many great fights at welterweight, honestly. How many more fights till Adesanya becomes the middleweight GOAT? I think he's got a ways to go. If he beats Whittaker again, let me look up Israel Adesanya real quick. Let's see. How long has he been champion? How many defenses does he have? Really? Okay, so he won the title. Here he has 1, 2, 3 title defenses. And 2 of them aren't all that impressive. So he only has 1 impressive title defense, honestly. The Yoel Romero fight was shit. He could have lost it. The Vettori fight was shit. He clearly won. And then he has a loss to Jan Blachowicz at light heavyweight, so that doesn't matter. For me to consider him the GOAT, he would have to go out there, beat Whittaker again, then maybe beat Jared Cannonier or Derek Brunson again. Beat Jared Cannonier for the first time or beat Derek Brunson again. Then by that time, Alex Pereira makes his way to the top of the rankings. He beats Alex Pereira to avenge his 2 losses in kickboxing. And then by that time, Nasruddin Imavov made his way to the top, where Andre Muniz makes his way to the top and beats one of those guys. So the Robert Whittaker, then Jared Cannonier, then Alex Pereira, then Nasruddin or Andre Muniz. So 4 to 5 more fights, I think, and he could become the middleweight GOAT. It's tough shoes to fill when you got Anderson Silva as the middleweight GOAT. Which lightweight guys has the best chance fighting at welterweight and would be dangerous for that division and could potentially become welterweight champion? Great question, Boz. Great question. Best chance at fighting at welterweight. I'm going to be honest. I don't think any of these guys have a good shot at welterweight. They're all too small. Probably Islam Makhachev, but I just don't think he's going to have success. Oliveira is going to be too small. Justin Gaethje's going to get out-grappled. He's too small. Dustin Poirier. Maybe Dustin Poirier, honestly. He can put on some size, put on some mass. He's well-rounded. So either Dustin Poirier or Islam Makhachev, but to be honest, I don't think anyone in the top 15 at lightweight has any real good, solid success at welterweight, honestly. I just don't think it happens. Um, will Joe Alvarez make weight in his next fight? I'm gonna say yes, he does. I hope he does. It was a big win, and it's kind of overshadowed by the fact he's missing weight. Joe Alvarez is a welterweight and refuses to fight there. He can't make 155. Weight bully. We'll see. He only missed weight by like 2 pounds. I think he can do it, but definitely a weight bully. If you watch both Adesanya versus Pereira fights, who do you think win fighting now? I haven't watched both of them. I've only heard about them. I haven't watched them, and I've seen the one KO. So I have. Oh, are you talking about the most recent fights in MMA? I don't know, man. It's too early to tell where Pereira is, but he looked very impressive in his UFC debut. Uh, who will be the champion in each weight class at the end of 2022 in your opinion? So Pity's an STI. It's very rarely I don't answer a question on the chat, but I'm going to do a dedicated video to that. So I'm going to put it out next week at some point, and I'm going to go through every division, kind of guess what happens in 2022, where do they defend here, defend there, lose here, win there, and then I'm going to give you my predictions for who's the champion in each weight class at the end of 2022. And I'm going to make a dedicated video on it. Probably be like 15, 20 minutes long, and I will be putting it out next week at some point in time. So I'm going to skip that question for now, but that's a great question, and that's why I'm doing a video on it. So keep an eye out for that video. I think the ideal fight for Costa will be Strickland. The loser takes the winner, Bruno Silva versus Alex Perez. I think the ideal fight for Costa will be Strickland. Yeah, Costa would wreck Sean Strickland. The loser takes the winner of Bruno versus Alex Pereira. I'd rather see the winner take the winner of that. So, Merry Christmas, Joey. Merry Christmas to you, Fight Life. Appreciate you, my friend. What fight in 2021 was your most memorable? Mine was Gaethje versus Chandler. Most memorable. I loved Gaethje versus Chandler. But honestly, probably not Poirier. Probably Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. I know that sounds crazy. Also, I should be getting. I posted in the members only Discord the artwork of Gaethje versus Chandler that I bought. I'm actually having it framed very, very soon. Should have it back in the next week or two. And I love that fight too. That's one of my favorite fights of the year for sure. Hope you have a good holiday. This is the last live chat before Christmas. That's crazy. So anybody who celebrates Christmas, have a very Merry Christmas. To me, it's just insane. It's about to be the end of 2021. Time is flying by. RDA is best as it gets only because he's a savage and don't care. Yeah, I think a lot of people underrate RDA and his skill set just because he lost it to the elite, a weight class above where he probably should be fighting. There are so many grapplers at 170. Why would Joel want to fight there? Very true. Who's the Jorge Masvidal every weight class? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean by that. You're gonna have to elaborate. Who's the Jorge? I don't think there is a Jorge Masvidal every weight class. Best Christmas food. Best Christmas food. Probably ham. I disagree with you how you view abilities of Sean Strickland. He works out Costa. No way. I think Costa finishes him on the feet. Are you framing the picture in that room? Yeah, I'm gonna eventually. I have all this right here is MMA memorabilia. Like one of these. Like, hold on a second. Let me see if I can grab one of these for you. Like all this is MMA memorabilia. I got just chilling back here. Look, that's an autographed Dan Henderson pick. You see the autograph right here, right there. Look at that. So eventually, I'm gonna rearrange my background somehow. I haven't decided yet. That's not really something that's been pressing to me. Um, but hold on a second. But eventually, I'm gonna try to get a little bit better organized background. But for me, I like the blurry background. So for me, it hasn't really made sense to mess with any of that yet. But I have an Anderson Silva autograph. I have a Piotr Jan autograph. I have a Habib autograph. It's not back here. It's actually downstairs. I have a Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald autograph. I got the bobbleheads here. DC, Nick Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, Mighty Mouse Johnson here. They're all autographed bobbleheads. My favorite is honestly, the Demetrius Johnson bobblehead. I love this Demetrius Johnson bobblehead. It looks just like him. Look at this. Let's see if it actually focuses. Look at that. Look how nice that is. And it looks perfect. But I love the Jorge Masvidal one as well. He's throwing the flying knee in it. Let me show you guys it real quick. Look, let me say. He's throwing the flying knee here. Come on, focus. Look at that. And that's autographed as well. You see down here on the base. So, I have a bunch of MMA memorabilia. And I have Nick Diaz and Daniel Cormier. And the guy that makes these, just out of the way, I know I've said this before. The box art is incredible. Look at that Daniel Cormier box art right there. And he's actually coming out. He has a... Fix that. But anyway, I'm gonna have the Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler eventually somewhere in the background. But let's see, how much have you spent on MMA memorabilia? Too much, and he's coming out with a Dustin Poirier autograph bobblehead that I'm gonna buy soon. If anyone wants to buy one, I think it's MMAbobblehead.com. Actual size Mighty Mouse bobblehead, yeah, very true. Would you favor in a 5-round fight Ilia Topuria or Zabit Magomedsharipov? I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Especially Zabit's been out for so long. Probably Topuria. But if Zabit's the same as he was, I probably favor Zabit to finish him early. What specific MMA discipline would you want to learn the most? Probably jiu-jitsu. Honestly, it looks so much fun. Also, who has the best style to beat Khabib in each division? And you would favor them to beat him. Also, who has the best style to beat Khabib in each division? And would you favor them to beat him? Like who? To beat Khabib in every division, but he doesn't fight in every division. I'm getting confused with these questions today. So in the lightweight division, I think, and I've been saying this forever, that Charles Oliveira is the guy to beat Khabib. I'm not saying I would pick him, but I'm saying my nose is itching like crazy right now. My mustache is tickling my nose. I think Oliveira has the best chance to beat him. At welterweight, Kamaru Usman. I think Khabib would beat Charles. I think he has good enough jiu-jitsu. Khabib does, where he'd avoid the submission. Kamaru Usman, I think, beats Khabib. At middleweight, I guess you're shrinking down sizes. Is that what you're saying? The best chance to beat him is probably Robert Whittaker. But I would favor Khabib if they are both the same size. Light heavyweight, probably Glover Teixeira, but I would favor Glover. Alexander Volkanovski, probably, but I would favor Khabib. But it's hard when you start doing sizes. But I hope that answered your question, my friend. Okay, hold on a second. Boz. I like, who's the Jorge Masvidal in every weight class besides him, meaning the way he fights, hype, and grew up. I don't know if there is anyone like Masvidal in the divisions. I think Masvidal is a very unique guy. You know, I don't really think there is a guy that fits into that type of fighter that Masvidal is, who's been fighting his whole life. So that's a hard question. That's too. I mean, I think it's an impossible fight to answer. So I'm sorry about that, my friend. It actually depends. It's 3-round fight. Got Costa. It's a 5-round fight. I got Strickland. Yeah, I think Costa beats him in even a 5-round fight. Greatest KO in UFC history. George's Hall of Fame. What he did to Askren alone. Yeah, that boosted his star power massively. I used to say that Masvidal was one of the most underrated guys, and then after that KO, he became overrated. Who are some of your favorite fighters not in the UFC? Favorite fighters not in the UFC. One of my favorite fighters used to be Benson Henderson. I still like him very much, but he's kind of falling off a cliff skill wise. I'm trying to think who else. And Bellator. Who do I love to watch in Bellator? AJ McKee. I love watching AJ McKee in Bellator. It's hard. I'm always terrible sometimes with thinking of some of these guys. It's like I pay attention to the UFC so closely. It's hard to remember some of these guys right off the top of my head from other organizations. Mighty Mouse is definitely one of them. I think he's a great fighter. Kyoji Horiguchi just recently fought. I wish he was still in the UFC fighting at flyweight, honestly. Who else? Who else? Who else? I'm trying to think. I always like watching the Pitbull brothers. I was a fan of Chandler for a long time before he was in the UFC. There's so many great guys not in the UFC that I would love to see in the UFC. Would Chael still be undefeated in the UFC in 2021? Absolutely not. No way, shape, or form. Does it piss you off that Charles Oliveira refuses to learn one phrase of English? Now, I don't care at all. For me, it's about the skill level. It's not about the build-up of a fight. So I don't care one bit. You know, I love the guy's skill set. I love to watch him fight. I don't care if he speaks English, Portuguese, Spanish, Chinese. I don't care what he speaks. I just want to see the guy compete at a high level. In my opinion, Blade's not favoring Ankalaev, not favoring Whittaker, favoring Usman, not favoring Islam, favoring Zabit, not favoring Petr Yan, favoring Askarov, favoring, and that's it. I agree with most of those. I favor Usman, though. I see what you're saying now, and I hope I gave you enough answers. A lot of fighters don't learn English because they don't train in the U.S. Demetrius Johnson's still fun to watch, and he isn't in the UFC. Agree. John Lineker. I miss John Lineker. I was sad when the UFC let John Lineker go. I thought it was stupid. Look at the featherweight division and tell me how many fighters can Tony Ferguson beat if the 145er decide to move up to 155, and what fights would he lose? Let's take a look. If 45 moved up to 55, I think Tony probably beats Max Holloway. Hot take. I think Tony beats Brian Ortega. It's tough, but I'll say he beats Brian Ortega. Tony loses the Yair. Tony beats Chan Sung Jung. Tony beats Calvin Kattar. Tony loses the Josh Emmett. Tony beats Arnold Allen. Tony loses the Giga Chikadze. Tony beats Dan Ige. Tony beats Edson Barboza. Tony beats Bryce Mitchell. Tony beats Sadiq Youssef. Tony loses to Mosar Evloev. Tony loses to Shane Burgos. And Tony beats Alex Caceres. There you go, my friend. There you go. A very interesting question. If you guys are watching this and you're not subscribed to the channel, go subscribe right this very second. Does anyone remember John Lineker versus Francisco Rivera, I believe his name was? Absolute crazy wild fight. Love that fight. Spectacular. It was a definition of a brawl, you know, and I don't love those fights all the time, but occasionally they are just insane, and I love that fight. What game plan would Aljo need to employ to do better against Yan? What game plan would Aljo need to employ better against Yan? I don't know, man. I really don't know how he beats Yan. I think Aljamain Sterling's best. Oh, how the hell am I misspeaking like that? I think his best path to victory is to really try to land that knockout blow early. Because Petr Yan tends to make adjustments after the first round or so. But Aljamain Sterling was able to land by crowding him and throwing a variety of shots early. So I think he needs to land something nasty early and look to finish him early. What UFC vet will retire next? Glover Teixeira will retire after he loses the title. I'm too young to even know a lot of these fights you're talking about. Dude, if you can find it somewhere, French fries, and you haven't seen it, look up John Lineker versus Francisco Rivera, I think is his name. Insane fight. Insane fight. Tony can't even move properly now. I wouldn't say that much, man. He's fighting nothing but killers. Fighting nothing but killers. I respect Tony so much, and I hope the UFC gives him a winnable matchup to come back to. I'm tired of these hypothetical Gregor Gillespie matchups. Super annoying to me. I don't want to see that fight at all, but I think Tony can still beat Gregor Gillespie, but I think it's a nightmare matchup for him, and it's why I don't want to see it. It doesn't have title implications, so what's the real point of it? What is the real point? Guys, I'm getting ready to end the live stream, so if you have any final questions, throw them in the chat, and I will answer them before I leave. I'm just checking out something. If you guys haven't checked out my Francis Ngannou video, it's my last video on the channel. Make sure you go check it out after the stream. Do me that favor. As soon as the stream ends, go watch and like the Francis Ngannou video. It's doing well. If you guys go watch it and like it, comment on it, whatever, maybe you give it an extra push and YouTube starts recommending it to 1 million people, and then maybe we can get 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year. If you guys have any friends that'll actually watch the content, if they're not going to watch the videos, don't tell them. But if you have friends that like MMA and would watch the content, send them my channel, tell them to subscribe. Aljo had the correct game plan, but he was able to keep that crazy pace all 25. He's not finishing yet. I agree. What are your favorite classic UFC fights? What do you mean by classic? Because I've only been watching since 2009. But I'll just give you some since I've been watching, but that are a long time ago. I love John Jones versus Gustafsson 1. Kung Lee versus Vanderlei Silva was a lot of fun. Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen 1 was amazing. Just for watch him get beat up for 4 3/4 rounds and then pull up the submission at the end was incredible to see. I'm trying to think what else. What are my favorite fights that I've seen? Chad Mendes versus Jose Aldo 2. French fries. If you have not seen Chad Mendes versus Jose Aldo 2, great fight, excellent fight. My favorite fight of all time is probably Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald 2. Love that fight. What fighters from Bellator that can give Jones a tough fight back when Reyes fought him? None of them. I don't think Ryan Bader gives him a tough fight. I don't think Corey Anderson gives him a tough fight. I don't think any of these guys give him a tough fight. When's the next live? Maybe I'll do one on Christmas Eve. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I'll sneak in one more live before Christmas. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Little one, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Same to you, my friend. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you. 10,000 subscribers next year, guys. Zombie versus Garcia and WC. If you haven't seen, go watch it. It's a fight that made me an MMA fan. I just watched it yesterday. I think I've seen it before, but it's been a while. Who would win in a hypothetical matchup between John Jones and Khabib? John Jones for sure, even if they were the same size. I believe John Jones wins. He's tall, he's lengthy, and I think that helps him his ability to defend takedowns. I only saw the Rich Franklin one live, but I have seen the Chuck Liddell Vanderlei Silva fight. That was amazing. Other than that, I've seen a lot of his KO losses, unfortunately. All right, guys, I'm going to end the live chat. I want to thank every single one of you for joining me. We're looking forward to the UFC in 2022. Cracker Whacker, love the channel, man. Thank you so much. If you guys haven't already, like the stream. If I don't do a live stream between now and Saturday, have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate it. If you don't, have a good holiday. I'm sure I'll do a live stream before New Year, so we don't really have to say that. Appreciate you guys all joining me. And again, if you have not watched my Francis Ngannou video, go check it out as soon as this stream ends. Do me that favor. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I will talk to you very, very soon. If any big news comes out, you guys know I'll be doing a video on it. So appreciate you and have a good night.